Hello fellow collectors, I hope you're all doing really well today. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. This is my Blu-ray haul / Blu-ray update for February and March. First, just before I dive in, I just wanted to address what I said in my Eureka haul video, where I said that I wanted to complete my entire watch list before I bought any new films. And at that time I think I had about 94 titles to watch. Well, I can say that I haven't even come close to finishing it yet, though the numbers are ticking down nicely. And yet I've got a new haul here. Well, it turns out it's actually much harder than I thought it would be to stop making any purchases altogether and to say no to some great deals and sales. I will say that I think I've made much fewer purchases than I would have done otherwise, and even though this haul it does cover 2 months, it is still more than I would have hoped for, which I suppose was actually 0 new titles. Anyway, let's get right into it. First up, we have 4 titles from Takeshi Katano. We have Hanabi, or I always want to say Hanabi, but I've heard other people pronounce it Hanabi, so I'll just stick with that. Where Katano plays a former policeman who decides to pull off a bank robbery. As the back says, I think this one will be more in line with his previous films like Sonatine and Violent Cop. So I'm guessing definitely more on the violent side. Up next, we have A Scene at the Sea, which could not really be more different. And as I understand it, this one is about a deaf garbage collector who wants to learn how to surf. And that is pretty much the whole thing, which sounds pretty wonderful to me. I love the artwork on this one in particular. Next, we have Kids Return, which is about 2 teenage school dropouts and sort of, I believe, follows their lives and choices until they meet again 3 years later. And last but not least from him is Kikujiro, which I believe is a sort of road trip film, which follows a young boy hoping to reunite with his long-lost mother and sort of latches on to a small-time gangster played by Katano along the way. All of these look really interesting. I'm really looking forward to watching just some of Katano's films. I think so far all I've seen him in ever is Battle Royale. So really interested in seeing some of his own movies. Next up, we have a title that I had on my wish list for I think literally over a year and a half. So when it dropped to less than half price, I just had to get it, and that's Little Monsters. I'm not really sure how this one fell under the radar so much, as Lupita Nyong'o stars in it, but somehow it seems to have, and it's just not got the publicity that it deserves, I think. This was one of my favourite films that I watched during 2020, and for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's about a zombie outbreak during a kid's school trip. It's a hilarious mix of comedy and horror as adults try to keep the kids safe and try also to not tell the kids what is happening. But it is absolutely wonderful, and I'm delighted to finally own it. Then we have the only Criterion, which is Deep Cover. I bought this one simply because it dropped in price to where I just couldn't resist. I think it was about £10.99. This one's a neo-noir, which was only fairly recently released by Criterion, but one that looks excellent and that I really can't wait to watch. It features Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum, and it's about going undercover to infiltrate a drugs operation. A film also by Bill Duke, who I honestly didn't even know was a director, so really excited to see a film from him. Now, this month I've actually been enjoying some annual leave, and I decided to go on a rare trip to FOP to see if they had any good sales on, and just honestly enjoy some physical shopping in person. And I ended up grabbing 3 titles after thoroughly enjoying my time browsing through the films for what must have been definitely over an hour. The first 2, which we have here, I saw almost immediately after walking into the shop and just picked them up straight away. Both of these have been on my watch list for many months, ever since I watched Decalogue last year, and they are a short film about killing and a short film about love. These, I think, are Decalogues 5 and 6, and Kieslowski decided to turn both of these sort of hour-ish long Decalogue episodes, shall we say, even though that doesn't really feel like it does them justice, but episodes, let's call them. And he decided to turn them into slightly longer features. Both of these in a decalogue I thought were absolutely astonishing, and so I immediately wanted to check out the extended versions of them. So much depth, compassion, brutality in both of these, honestly. And yeah, the decalogue about the short film about killing in particular was so inflammatory and moving that it actually sparked national debate in Poland at the time, which I find really, really interesting. Again, I hadn't seen either of these for less than about £12 each, but FOP had them for, as you can see, £6. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I cannot wait to watch them. I still haven't seen, actually, the Arrow box set of Kieslowski's early work, so perhaps I'll do a bit of a Kieslowski marathon and watch them all in a row. And the last one I picked up from FOP is First Cow, a film by Kelly Reichardt, who also made Certain Women, which is in the Criterion Collection. A film set in the American West, I believe, as it says, in the 1820s in Oregon, where two loners team up to seek their fortune through a scheme to steal milk from a wealthy landowner's prized Jersey cow. I think this one's a bit of a mixture between comedy and drama, so really, really looking forward to watching it. Unfortunately, it's just the same cover on both the slip and the case underneath, but nevertheless, should be a great watch. And last, but certainly by no means least, I have two releases here from Eureka, both of which are long out of print, and I managed to pick up from eBay. First is Computer Chess, which I actually talked about in my video where I dived into my thoughts about Eureka as a company. And I mean, this is a film that I've been wanting to see for a long time now, but was more or less just impossible to find. And I found it really frustrating that Eureka had done, what is a great release of it, but of course just so long out of print and going for insane prices on eBay usually. It's a film made before any computer had beaten a human player at chess yet, and I believe it's set during a conference where new advances that people have made were shown off, all about early computing and early AI. And I went in for an auction on this one, and I was delighted to win it and finally now own this film. I honestly can't wait to watch it and see if it can possibly live up to the hype that I've put on it over all these years. And then we have Martin Scorsese Presents His World Cinema Project, and this is Volume 1. It features Dry Summer, a film by Metin Erksan, which is a Turkish film. Trances by Ahmed Al-Manoui, which is a Moroccan film, and Revenge by Emek Shinabev, which is a Kazakhstani film. I had no knowledge of any of these before, though of course I know Scorsese's World Cinema Project is also presented in the Criterion Collection, though I believe there's 3 parts in the Criterion Collection, whereas Eureka, at least so far, I've only ever put out this part 1. I hopped in an auction for this one without much hope of winning it really, but lo and behold, I managed to get it for a fantastic price and I'm delighted to own it. I've never seen any film from any of these countries before, so really, really looking forward to diving into it. And well, that's my haul for February and March 2022. Thankfully, not too big, but also, as I said at the beginning, not quite as small as I would have hoped for. And I am going to try to, again, stick to what I said in that previous video, where I really want to get to the end of my watch list before I pick up any new titles. So a slight disclaimer, I do have a bid in for an auction on eBay at the moment for another Eureka title, which is Harold and Maude. But I think, knowing how sought after that one is and how much money it usually goes for, I don't have too much hope of winning that one, but we'll certainly see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.